The stars are aligned here in Frisco, Texas, as we recognize this season's most outstanding football players across the FCS. And over the next hour, you'll learn about the great legacies of our award namesakes as we present this season's award winners of the 5 most prestigious FCS football awards. It's all coming up on the Stats Perform FCS National Awards Show.
Hello everyone, let me welcome you to tonight's show. It's the Stats Perform FCS National Awards Show, and I'm your host, Gary Reasons. Good evening everyone, and welcome to Frisco, Texas. This is the 35th season of these awards, and we're very pleased that we're able to have you here following our spring event, which actually was a virtual broadcast, which kind of started the genesis of bringing this to air as well. And you know, for myself, I've been involved with these FCS awards for more than 20 years, and really pleased to do so. I'm a former FCS player, and it really brings a lot of joy to me to be able to kind of give back and talk about this level of football. You know, this is a broadcast event. This is going to be live across Bally Sports Networks starting tomorrow, so you should check your local listings for that. And it's been there. It's going to be an opportunity for us to showcase the great excellence of FCS football everywhere across the country. You know, for this year, you know, we kind of kept this national broadcast aspect, and I'm really proud of that because I think that we need to kind of showcase more the FCS level of brand of football, and I think it's going to do very well. And now we'd like to share a brief history of these awards.
The FCS National Awards first began in 1987 and is now comprised of 5 legacy awards that recognize excellence in football at the Division I FCS level. And they are called legacy because of the great tradition, accomplishments, and supreme excellence of our namesakes for the awards. When you hear the names Peyton, Buchanan, Rice, and Robinson in FCS circles, you are talking about the true legends of the game and represent not only some of the greatest football names ever in the FCS ranks, but these legends are certainly recognized among the true greats of football from any level.
And you'll notice that tonight's event is going to be a little bit less formal than we typically would have, a dais and a big panel up here. We're going to have some comfortable chairs for our guests and our winners to come up here and join with us. It also gives me an opportunity to introduce my co-host for tonight, Miss Sarah Merrifield. She's a sports anchor for Bally Sports Southwest, and she joins us tonight. Good evening, Sarah, and welcome.
Thanks, Gary. I'm happy to be here. And as far as getting a chance to get to be here with all of you and celebrate the incredible accomplishments you guys have had all this season, I'm welcoming in VP of Global Operations, Brian Orefici of Stats Perform. And, you know, this is a special event, of course. And Stats Perform and the FCS National Awards have had a very special relationship over the last handful of years. And what about that relationship makes it so special and unique to be a part of and get a chance to celebrate with all these incredible people?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Great to have you here. So this is the 7th banquet that we've had, and every one of them has been, significantly different. You know, when we first started, there was a question as to whether or not these awards would actually still continue to go on. A little bit of history. Stats took over the sports network at that point, and those guys had a long history with the FCS. And really, with Stats Perform, what we've tried to do is 2 buckets, right? One, we wanted to shine an even brighter light on the FCS, given the scale that we had as a company. And frankly, we had a custodianship, we felt, to keep those legacy awards alive. You've got the 4 names up there, and as Gary said in the opening, this is the best of the best, right? And that was a responsibility that we took seriously. Every year we've tried to get a little bit better, and I think it's peaked with this year's show.
And a special opportunity to be back in person again. And I know we're all excited to be back in person out here on the stage. And, we've seen some really unprecedented times in the last couple of years. So with this unique class of recipients, what makes it extra special for them to be getting these awards tonight?
Wow. I mean, there's so much to celebrate any year. I think perhaps the biggest thing this year is resiliency, right? This has truly been unprecedented times across all facets of society, certainly college athletics, college football. This is the 2nd banquet that we're doing over the course of the last 6 to 8 months because the previous season was pushed back. So really strange times. And in addition to just the typical fantastic performances that we always see, this one I think more than anything is differentiated by the resiliency of the student athletes.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time with us. And of course, thank you for helping us put on such a great event tonight. And we're excited to see the rest of the evening unfold. But Gary, we'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Brian, for joining us. Hey, I'm actually now joined by Mr. FCS football himself. I always tease him about that. This is Craig Haley, and you guys, if you look at anything at Stats Perform, of what we're able to do on the analysts and so forth, Craig is all over everything. He actually does so much work. It's really unimaginable how he gets everything done. He takes care of the FCS poll for stats, the stats top 25 poll, and he also actually the caretaker of the votes for this award ceremony, and talk about all the different awards. Craig, so tell me a little bit about the history of these awards and really how this all started.
Well, thank you, Gary. I mean, as you mentioned, this is the 35th year. Our awards, Stats Perform, it started with the Eddie Robinson and Walter Payton Awards. Walter Payton, the Offensive Player of the Year, and the Coach of the Year, Eddie Robinson, certainly legendary names, and they used to come and present their awards, and It just has grown through the years. We've had great presenters. I mean, the namesakes obviously leave us breathless. Buck Buchanan and Jerry Rice, we've added through the years. So it's just a labor of love to be able to organize this and present these awards to outstanding people.
Yeah, and just kind of quickly here, talk about the votes. I mean, this year specifically, the votes were very tight. Indeed,
and we're very pleased to have a national cross-section of voters. We have 50 voter panel for both the top 25, and it's the same panel for the FCS awards. It's balanced. Every conference, 15 conferences represented, 2 or 3 per conference, another, say, 15 voters that are national voters. So yes, it's very tight. You're looking at, there's almost no wrong with the candidates, 25 each for the Buchanan and Payton Awards. So, at the end of the regular season, that Thanksgiving week, we select our winner after, voting each week with the top 25 poll. So we're very pleased with the balance of our voting panel.
Sure turned out well. Good stuff, Craig. Thank you. And thank you, Brian Orefici, for joining us tonight. Hey, when we come back, we're going to hand out our first award of the evening. We're going to be talking about a Scholar Athlete Award. Stay with us.
Welcome back to our very special March Madness edition of Mean Green Game Day. Some say the 13-4 seed matchup is the new 12-5. Well, UNT is that 13 seed, the highest the Mean Green have ever been seeded in the NCAA tournament. So guys, UNT will take on number 4 seed Purdue tomorrow night. I want to see what are keys for this game, but Justin, you just touched on UNT's depth. Okay, UNT, we're older. We have some teams, and this Purdue team, they're young. They made a splash in the Big Ten. What should we expect from Purdue?
Well, Purdue is a very solid team all around and a very efficient team all around, much like UNT. They only had 8 losses during the season, and only 2 of them were by more than 4 points, and that was against Michigan and Iowa. So a team that's been very competitive in a conference that's been very competitive this year with the Big Ten Conference. They're 45% from the field overall as a team. Like I said, they're about getting to the basket a lot like UNT is. I think this is going to be a slow-paced, gritty matchup. Purdue is 274th out of 350 teams in terms of pace, and UNT is 350th. So it's going to be a slow-paced defensive battle here down the stretch of this game. I expect like a mid-60s, maybe high 50s type of final score.
Man, that's just disgusting. That would be a disgusting game to watch. Talk about Michelle's dad real quick. We were talking before. The over-under, it's like 120, the over-under for total points scored. So I think if you bet under, you're going to win. But I agree with Justin. Honestly, I don't think it's a good matchup for UNT, though, at all. I think they just have some of the biggest – they're the tallest team in the Big Ten. And so I think with just Simmons and Abu's just Abu, but I think you got Zach Edey, who's 7'4", and Travion Williams, they're one of the best Big Ten big men. I don't think it's a good matchup. Because if we play with our pace, I think they're going to set up on defense and they're going to stop us.
Yeah, teams that have beaten Purdue this season have been fast-paced teams, and teams that excel in transition, and that's not what UNT is. But I think the one place that UNT can be successful is on defense, guarding Purdue from the three-point line, because this isn't a team that's going to shoot a ton of three-pointers, and they shoot under 34% when they do as a team. So if UNT is able to get out to a lead like they did against Western Kentucky, maybe not that big, but if they're able to get out to a lead in the second half and make Purdue shoot three-pointers, that's not their game, and that's a place where UNT could have success. But like Jack mentioned, the hardest part about matching up against Purdue is matching up against their front court size with Edey and Travion Williams.
And particularly playing a 4 seed from the Big Ten Conference kind of scares me. Had it been a 4 seed like Virginia, the way we would have matched up with Virginia this year, typically Virginia is a defense first, offense second kind of team. This year it's vice versa. And they play a slow pace, so I think we would have had a better matchup with them. But with Purdue, like Jack mentioned, and Justin mentioned, they got incredible size, and they've had incredible size the last few years. And this is one of the best teams from the Big Ten against the best team from Conference USA. And to me, that's not an even match. Not a 13 against a 4 seed. And I don't think we match up well against them. I know UNT is going to give it their all. I think it'll be a close, low-scoring game, like a mid-50s kind of score. But I don't think we're going to have enough to pull it out.
I think the interesting part here is the strength-on-strength matchup, because their best offensive player is Travion Williams, their leader in basically every statistical category. Our leader on defense is Thomas Bell, and we have seen him play against guys that are bigger than him this season and be more physical and excel in that role. So this is going to be the ultimate test here against a guy like Travion Williams, because he is a scorer.
Obviously, with a team like that, our defense does need to come out really strong, but I like how you touched how we came out against Western Kentucky last week. Because we did. We started really strong and we plateaued, and that is something that could happen this tomorrow against Purdue. So, guys, what do you think? How does UNT not plateau like that?
They can't afford to do that again. If they go on a scoring drought like that, they're not even going to be in a close game if that happens.
It's game over.
It's game over. And honestly, I was surprised that we're able to do that against both Louisiana Tech and Western Kentucky when they went on scoring droughts. But I can surely tell you that they're not going to be able to pull off that against the Boilermakers.
And I think offensively, it's going to revolve around the movement. There's going to have to be more movement. Even in the final game, I know they won, but the offense didn't have enough movement going on around Javion Hamlet, and that's been a problem a lot. He can get to the lane, but if there's no guys moving around him, then there isn't a passing lane. So you have to have your guards shifting around, Zach Simmons moving around in the post. You have to have that movement on offense to get this defense lost. They're top 5 in the Big Ten at defensive efficiency. So it's going to be really easy for them if you're just standing at the three-point line. Anybody can guard that. So I want to see movement around on offense around Javion Hamlet.
Yeah, well, I know we've touched on some players, but I want you guys to tell me exactly who your key players are. Jack, I know you're about to go into that, so tell me, who from UNT are the keys besides Hamlet?
I think McBride. Like when you have Zach Edey and Travion Williams in the paint, I think the three ball becomes extraordinary. It's just a thing you have to hit. You have to cash in every time. And so I think McBride has to have a big game. You have to hit the threes he shoots.
Yeah, I like that pick. I would even say James Reese as well. Same kind of thing. You have to have your sharpshooters on in this type of game because Purdue can score a lot of points on you.
Well, my guy all season has been Zach Simmons after Javion Hamlet. And the way Zach Simmons played defense in the Conference USA Championship game, we're going to need that and a little bit more in the first round against Purdue if we have any shot at pulling this off. Because, again, Purdue's got size down low. And if we can't match that up, it's going to be a long day.
I think it gives you some hope, though, just how well Simmons performed against Bassie, though. It gives me a little bit more hope that he'll be able to handle Zach Edey. And Zach Edey's a guy that doesn't play a ton of minutes. He only averages like 15 minutes a game this season. But this kind of reminds me of a similar situation with earlier in the year when we faced UAB, because Trey Jamison for them didn't play a lot of minutes throughout the whole year, but he played extensive minutes against Zach Simmons and actually played well. So it kind of reminds me of the situation here that the guy doesn't play a ton of minutes. So I want to see Zach Simmons getting very physical with him and testing his endurance, because over the course of a tournament, it's going to be hard for him to play a lot of minutes if he hasn't seen a lot of playing time this season. So test his endurance, get his feet moving, and then maybe get him in foul trouble and get him out of the game.
Okay, so I kind of feel split right now because Jack and Connor, I feel like y'all are saying no chance for UNT at all. Justin, are you saying there's a chance for UNT if they do this? And do you see UNT being able to do this tomorrow night?
I think we have a shot, okay? I figured we would be a 13 seed coming into this tournament. I didn't think Conference USA would get above like a 12. Figured 14, 13 was probably the right range. With the alignment of the brackets this year, I think Connor mentioned Virginia. I think Purdue would probably be the second most favorable matchup for UNT other than Virginia. If we played Oklahoma State or Florida State in the first round with first rounders galore everywhere with those two teams, I would say good season. But with Purdue, I think we can match up well with them because we have a kind of similar style of play. I know that they're a little bit taller than us and a little bit bigger than us, but I think we can get physical enough. And I think our defense, with this defense, we can beat anybody.
Yeah, it's not the defense that's a worry for me. I think we have a shot. It's just offensively, McCaslin, they have to change the game plan up. I mean, you got to push the ball. If you come up and you run your set and you run your play, you're going to have the big man just sitting there, and it's going to be hard to score in the paint. And so I think, or you're going to have to do some pick and rolls, bringing those big guys out and throwing it into the post on a guard, or having Hamlet ISO with the big guy. So you're going to have to change your game plan up if you want to win.
So there's a chance then, Jack?
There is a chance. It's just, man, we can't get in these scoring droughts.
Yeah, you have to avoid that. You have to come out and get out to a big lead early. That would really go a long way to helping you, because then you'd be able to just focus on the defense the rest of the way. Yeah, you have to avoid scoring droughts. In March Madness, that is where it's going to cost you if you go 5 minutes or 10 minutes like they did against Western Kentucky with only a few points. It's going to cost you.
And another small thing, this is kind of speculating to the minor degree here, but if UNT has a 2, 3, 4, 5 point lead late in the game, like around 2 minutes or so, I think they have a really good shot, because I can see like a 58 to 53 kind of score either way. If UNT can get a lead under that 4-minute mark, I think they got a really good shot, because I know who's going to have the ball in his hands, and that's going to be Hamlet, and he's a terrific free throw shooter, and free throw shooting and guard play really matters in March Madness.
And you're absolutely right about that. And Purdue, they don't shoot free throws very well. And specifically, Travion Williams only shoots 50% from the line. So that's why I'm saying Thomas Bell, he can get as physical with him as he wants. I mean, obviously, you got to stay out of foul trouble, but forcing him to go to the line wouldn't be the worst scenario. You know, if he's going up for a layup, just commit the foul, and he's only expected to make 1 out of the 2 free throws rather than the 2 points, right? So it's just going to be little chess matches like that in March Madness. You know, those little plays can really decide the game. But they don't shoot free throws well, so I think our defense can get as physical as they want to.
Well, that's what I was going to say too, Justin, is I feel like everyone knows this about the game of the basketball, and if you don't, you need to. Defense wins championships, and so does free throws. So these will make a big difference for us, for sure. So UNT might have a chance, I don't know. But UNT isn't the only Texas team that's expected to make some noise in the tournament. In fact, there might be a few. When we come back, we'll give you a rundown on which Texas teams you can count on and maybe who just got lucky. Stay with us.
Welcome back into Sports Zone. NFL season is in full swing, which means fantasy football season is as well. Here to break down some fantasy football are analysts Brandon Brown and Alec Rapp.
So guys, we are at the point in the season where teams are on bye weeks, players are banged up, and where everything is on the line in our fantasy league. So it seems like a perfect time to do this segment. Brandon, start me off with your best start of the week.
You know, it would have been really easy to say Joe Burrow versus the Jets with this, but I think I'm going to go Matthew Stafford versus the Texans. Stafford's averaged 22.8 points per game this season. He's going against the Texans defense that is overall 30th right now. He's going to have a field day throwing to his receivers and maybe getting some good action there as well.
Well, I'm going to take what you said before, and I'm going with Joey B. This is a guy who has been phenomenal this year. He played the Ravens last week. They won 41-17. They sit atop of the AFC North as well. He was 23 for 38, 416, 3 touchdowns. Dude was a baller. And they're playing a Jets defense that, if we look last week, just gave up 54 points.
It was horrendous.
To the New England Patriots. Mac Jones, who's been probably the best rookie quarterback in this class, came out. He had a great game, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns. You know it's bad when the backup Brian Hoyer comes in to ease things up for the Jets defense.
Well, 2 good players to start there. Let's switch it up and give me some players we want to sit this week. Brandon, who's your sit of the week?
I've seen a lot of people hyping up D'Ernest Johnson. He had a great game last week, 22 points last week. But going against this Pittsburgh D, who's ranked 2nd overall as of now, I don't see D'Ernest Johnson having that great of a game today. I don't think he's going to have a lot of touchdowns. I don't think he's going to have good yardage. Definitely sit him if you can.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the running back, and I'm going to go Alvin Kamara. This is a guy that lit up the Seahawks defense in that Monday night game. The Seahawks defense is awful. In case you guys don't know that, the Seahawks have the worst run defense in the league, and Tampa Bay has the best. And Kamara, to have that switch from the worst to the best is going to be really difficult. Statistically, he does not play well against them. In his career, he averages 48.1 yards per game rushing and 58.1 receiving. So, in my opinion, don't start this guy.
Brandon, who is your sleeper pick of the week?
My sleeper pick is Carson Wentz. Going against this Indianapolis Colts defense, it's 23rd versus QBs. It's very 32nd versus wideouts. I think Carson Wentz, he's been a very consistent guy, hasn't really gone out, hasn't really had that big game quite yet, but I think this is the week where we kind of see that, and I think he could really light up the scoreboard.
Look, I'm going to be a homer. My guy is TP20, Tony Pollard, the running back for the Cowboys. Normally, I'm not going to tell you to go with a backup running back, but Tony Pollard last year against the Vikings was amazing. 9 carries, 60 yards, a 40-yard touchdown. That was his lone touchdown of the game. This is a guy that is going to light up that Vikings defense.
Now, who is a player that is available in most leagues, most likely, that people should be looking to pick up?
So I have 2 for this one. It's kind of a tie between Cole Beasley, wideout for the Buffalo Bills, and Tommy Sweeney, who's a tight end for the Buffalo Bills. With Dawson Knox out, I could see Tommy Sweeney having a big game, especially against this Dolphins defense that is 23rd against tight ends and is currently 30th against wideouts. If one of these guys available, which Tommy Sweeney for sure is in most leagues, I say maybe worth the risk to maybe pick him up.
Definitely, and I think, Josh Allen likes to find his guy in the middle, that big guy that can catch the ball. For me, I'm sticking in the AFC East. I'm going with Michael Carter, the running back for the New York Jets. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would you pick a Jets player? Guys, don't be afraid of the New York Jets. This is a guy that has played really well this year. He was drafted 107, the 4th round this year. So far this year, the past couple weeks, he had 16.4, he had 14.8, and 10.4. This is the guy that probably isn't picked up in most of your leagues, and you need to get him now.
Let's get into some fantasy football, this or that. So I'm going to give you guys 2 players, and you choose which one from the 2 players you want to start. Let's kick it off with Jalen Hurts, quarterback for Philadelphia against Detroit, or Teddy Bridgewater from the Broncos against Washington. Brandon, who you got?
I'm going to go Teddy B versus Washington. Their defense is 32nd overall. Terrible. If there's a game where Teddy B is going to really stand out, this is it.
Yeah, you bring up some good points, but I have to go Jalen Hurts. This is a guy that has played consistent football. He has gotten 20-plus points in every single game. This year, he averages 24.3 points per game. Teddy, on the other hand, 15.8. Not saying he won't have a big game, but Jalen Hurts he's poised for a huge game this week.
Well, this next one's going to be really interesting. Dak Prescott against the Vikings or Kyler Murray against the Packers tonight. Who you got, Brandon?
Definitely Kyler Murray, because an article just came out an hour ago saying Dak might not even play. He says his injury is lingering. He says he doesn't really want to irritate that. And plus, this Green Bay defense, I think, is like 23rd overall. It's not very good this year. I could see Kyler Murray having a great game, especially with his supporting cast.
He's got a great supporting cast, but I got to go with my guy, none other than Rayne Dakota Prescott. You mentioned the calf injury. Let me tell you something. What did we hear all preseason? Oh, look at the shoulder. Dak's got a shoulder strain. He might not be ready to go week 1. He threw 58 passes in week 1. My guy, Dak Prescott, is a fighter. He will be ready to go. Give me Dak against the Vikings.
I mean, he might play, but he himself this time said that he's maybe not.
He can say all he wants. That guy is going to get on that football field and he's going to perform. Yes, he will.
Well, we got 2 quarterbacks in there, so I want to get in a running back matchup as well. Najee Harris for the Steelers against the Browns, or Alvin Kamara from the Saints against Tampa Bay. Who you got, Brandon?
I know you just went in and said sick Alvin Kamara, but I'm saying maybe play him because he's got this great receivability to him. I think that's going to be the X factor in this game. Tampa Bay's receiving defense, passing defense is not that great this year. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. And a player like Kamara, who historically, has this very great versatility against playoff teams, I think maybe this is the game where he just goes all out in fantasy.
He's definitely a versatile player, but I'm going Najee Harris. This guy has been heating up the past couple weeks. Yes. He has 4 straight games of 20-plus points in PPR leagues. The Steelers have lost Juju Smith-Schuster for the rest of the year, so they're going to look on the offensive side of the ball to get some help, and Najee Harris is the perfect guy. He's similar to Kamara because he can run the ball, but he can also catch the ball.
Well, hopefully our analyst advice will give you a win in your fantasy matchups this weekend. Week 8 of the NFL season kicks off tonight with the Packers and the Cardinals. College basketball season is just around the corner here at UNT. Coming up after the break, we're going to take a look ahead to the Mean Green women's basketball season. Stay with us.